We're back and straight into the next episode of Zoe and Julie Mum on tour. We landed safely in Malaga. We quickly settled into the hotel, and then it was time to go for a little stroll down to the shore. I got to see the event crew setting up my transition area for the World Triathlon Championships, which was very exciting. I'm becoming a pro at this bike thing now. I put it together in no time, and it was the best I'd ever put it together, which helps when it arrives in one piece. It even rode smoothly too. Gold star for Zoe. We then enjoyed our first sunset from the hotel room before a big night's sleep. Many of you would know that my mother loves the Spanish clothing shop Desigual. Near Malaga, there is an outlet store, and Mum and I went on a mad hunt to try find it. It was quite a hike, where maps sent us on roads that didn't exist, over rails and through bushes. After about 30 minutes walking around this big building and almost giving up, we eventually found what we were looking for. This area wasn't particularly pretty. It was quite industrial and boring, but it was on our way to the centre of Malaga. Our lunch stop was in a super cool cafe. I can't remember what it was called, but the walls were plastered with cereal boxes, and their main menu consisted of cereal. Mum and I were perhaps a bit boring, and we just got some ham rolls. Into Malaga we went, where we got to enjoy some sunshine, tourist attractions, and lots of people. We walked past Stitch on the way, and I knew I had to hug him. This was probably one of the best €1 experiences I've ever had. He was so squishy and cuddly. I was super lucky and even got a little kiss on the head. Now, please forgive me, as this little trip was actually a couple of months ago now, and my memory might be a little fuzzy. There were many cathedrals and churches we went past with names I can't pronounce on our way to Alcazaba, a medieval fortress. We walked right to the top, which took some time, and unfortunately there weren't very impressive views at the top. It looked best when we were about halfway up. Nevertheless, it was quite a sight to see. It was a big day, and although Mum and I are fit enough to walk many hills and steps, it was hot and I was exhausted, so I was ready to head home to truly prepare for my big week ahead. The following day, it was time to meet up with my mate Mark, or pronounced Morg with his Welsh accent. I met Mark at the World Championships in Spain in 2023, and he was an absolute legend, helping out an amateur like me with all things bike related. Once again, he took excellent care of my bike Brandy, making sure she was ready for a good race. After getting my bike tuned, it was back to the hotel. From our room, you could see the bike course, and I watched plenty of athletes do their recce ride not far below. Try spot them! Soon enough, the rain began. The locals said it only rains 10 days a year in Torremolinos, and unfortunately we copped 3 of those days. As I went to register and get all of my race gear, I had to sign my name on the wall of athletes. It always looks awesome at the end of the event, with all different languages and names filling the board. Sunrise the next morning was spectacular, and certainly helped to start the day better with sunshine rather than rain. It didn't last very long though. My main concern was the water quality being affected for my race, but luckily the show went on. The afternoon came quickly and the sun finally came out. It was then time to walk down for the Parade of Nations, where the athletes from all the different countries come together. I mostly enjoy the sea of colours and cultural music. This little guy was our Australian leader for the parade, a kid helping out from one of the local schools. These drums were getting us prepared for the start, and everyone enjoyed a little boogie along. We then began, and the bright Aussie uniform stood out once again. I don't quite think this Parade of Nations matched up to be as good as the one in Pontevedra, but it seems that some of the locals still enjoyed the spectacle. My big race was the next day, so unfortunately I did not stay for the opening ceremony. Lucky Australia was one of the first countries to walk through, meaning I could make a quick escape. Cow. For the first time ever, race day did not begin with an early morning, which was a really strange experience for me. I was stressed about not being down at the race at the crack of dawn, but if I had been there that early, I would have been turned away. At 11:30, the transition area opened and I was one of the first people to rack my bike and set up my transition. I always do a walkthrough of the transition so I can practice getting to and from my place and remember where it is. This transition was particularly strange as we had to run over a bridge to get to T1. As I waited for my race to start, the men's under 23 race was happening, so I got to watch some of the action. I haven't really recorded any of my setup or preparation because champions never share their secrets. Videographer Mum is behind the camera for these next videos, very kindly filming my race for you all to see. The heartbeat through the speakers, followed by the silence at the start of the race, gets my heart racing every time. Into the finish line I come, after a 750 metre swim, 20k bike ride and a 5k run. I came 37th and was pleased with my result as it was quite a difficult lead up to the event. I then got to cheer on fellow athletes. This guy was my favourite and probably a long lost cousin of some sort. Everyone, cheer on Kai Party from Malta. That evening, the para-athletes did their recce ride, practicing and learning the route for the next day. If you have watched my Paris vlog, you'd know that the para-triathlon is one of my favourite events. I'm obviously a big fan of all of our Aussie athletes, but Grace Norman from America is my absolute idol. I was really looking forward to watching her entire race. I had never seen para-transitions in real life before, and I found this amazing to watch. This is Grace being helped out of the water until she can get to the chair with her leg on it. As this transition was quite long, she needed to make sure she'd put her leg on properly to get herself safely across the bridge. The water conditions were amazing and the sun was shining, which made it a really perfect race for the athletes. Between legs, I went back to the signed wall of athletes. I told you it looked pretty cool when it's full. I spent a lot of time at the finish line cheering on all the para-athletes and looking at cute, fluffy dogs. The standard distance event was the next day with the largest number of age group competitors. I watched on from the hotel and also while I was out on an easy recovery run. On this day, Mum actually went to Gibraltar. I didn't join her because I have my own training to do and really wanted to soak up the atmosphere around me. It seemed like she had an amazing day though. The women's triathlon race was later in the afternoon. I managed to find some epic viewing spots for the bike and run course. What I didn't know was that the winner of this race actually swam hundreds of meters off the course, coming last out of the swim, making her win even more impressive. The vibes were incredibly high, and I honestly don't know if there are words to describe it. Being this close to world and Olympic champions is something that I still struggle to imagine.
Second place from Great Britain, Beth Potter.
Beth Potter from Great Britain, silver medal in the World Championship 2024. Here we have Cassandra Gogrand and Beth Potter embracing after.
My mixed team relay was the next day, and oh my goodness, I don't think I'd ever felt pain before like I did that day. The format of this race is a super sprint, where all 4 athletes, male, female, all race a 300 metre swim, 6 kilometre bike, and a 1.5 kilometre run before passing on to the next person. Going as hard as you absolutely can for this amount of time, in the sun, absolutely killed me. It was painful, but definitely the best type of pain I'd ever felt. Now for the final race of the weekend, the men's standard. Unfortunately, the Aussie favourite went out after a bad crash on the bike, but thankfully he's okay now. Once again, I just enjoyed being there and cheering on the pros. We had an early morning the next day, giving me little time to pack and put my bike away before heading off to our next destination. A hot tip for anyone travelling in and around Malaga: do not trust the public transport. We missed our first train to Barcelona due to the trains not showing up in Torremolinos, which was a real pain. Luckily, we did make it to Malaga station, and the lady at the service desk was very kind and helpful, allowing us to board a train the same day. That's it for now. My Barcelona vlog shouldn't be too far behind, so stay tuned. See ya!